Today, I will show you a biography drama movie from 2016. That's primarily based totally on real occasions titled, Sully Spoilers Ahead. Watch out and take care. Sully, a flight captain, sends a mayday sign to the manage middle due to the fact each of the engines have failed his co-pilot. Jeff informs him that they're too low as they descend in the direction of New York City and attempt to maneuver through. The human beings at the aircraft are horrified as they fly beyond the residential towers and even graze one and every of them. He tells his co-pilot that he loves him and that they crash. Slowly wakes up gasping. It become a dream. The information is reporting a success landing of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 at the Hudson River, saving the lives of all 155 passengers, and the media is asking it a miracle yet. He nevertheless is haunted via way of means of the incident. Sully and Jeff have been known as to a assembly with the Board of Humans. The NTSB who are investigating the incident. Charles documents the purpose for his or her presence on tape while he mentions the crash. Sully steps in and corrects him. It turned into a compelled landing. They knew what they have been seeking to execute. It turned into now no longer a crash. The huge query is why he selected to land at the Hudson rather than really returning to LaGuardia Airport. They're absolutely turned into now no longer sufficient altitude. When requested how he calculated that he didn't, he depended on his revel-in from heaps of flights over many years and eyeballed it. It's far claimed that the left engine turned into idling and nevertheless functioning. However, Sully disputes that and says he felt the failure of each engines with inside the car. They talk how they're seeking to painting Sully because the terrible man whilst everybody else the announcing the opposite. Even the cab driving force praises him for his heroics. Sully is in touch with his wife, Lori, who lives with their daughters. She is distressed with the aid of using all of the newshounds round her house, who need a unique section on her husband, while he leaves the cab to visit his resort. He is swarmed through newshounds, asking him questions, such as how he feels approximately doing the not possible or being a miracle maker. They touch every other. Once again, Lori has been involved for his nicely being ever for the reason that incident. He is crushed with the aid of using all of the attention. Tension with inside the NTSB investigation. Sully calls Jeff, who's additionally nerve-wracking, and that they determined to get a few sparkling air together. Jeff tells him approximately tomorrow's interview with the press. Sully is disenchanted that once 42 years in his position, he will grow to be being judged on 208s. Jeffrey certains him via way of means of pronouncing that the laptop simulations will show that his choice become proper, and they could go back to their everyday lives. The subsequent day, Sully sits down for an interview with Katie Couric, who requested him the way it feels to be visible as a hero. He says he does now no longer. He turned into simply doing his activity after he finishes the interview. He appears out the window and experiences some other hallucination of his aircraft crashing into the city. Mitch, please do test earlier than you deserve it. Sully and Jeff meet with the NTSB. Again, they inform the pilots that one of the engines turned into idling in numerous tests had been run in a simulator that proved it changed into feasible and in all likelihood to go back to LaGuardia. Sully denies this, pronouncing he felt each engine's surrender in. Jeff backs him up. However, the engineers say in any other case, and whilst requested for proof, there's none due to the fact the engine become broken and sunk upon landing with inside the Hudson River. Basically, they are saying that Sully placed the humans on board and risk and precipitated substantial damages to the United States Airways. Later on the in. Sully calls Lori. She tells him approximately their economic state of affairs, after which she wishes him to get returned to paintings. They are each worrying. Sully tells her that he is concerned that he may truly be wrong. In the NTSB is right. Worst case situation. That approach instantaneously retirement, and not using a pension. His lifestyles as paintings in this scares Lori. Then he explains his newly obtained data from the NTSB and she or he asks him why he did it. Why he landed with inside the water again to the day of the incident, January 15, 2009. It became a regular day. The standard tests had been made. Sully and Jeff take off approximately 2 minutes after takeoff. A large flock of birds flies head on into the engines, inflicting each of them to falter. Sully tests the readings and reveals that each engines have misplaced thrust. The passengers start to get extraordinarily involved. He keeps touch with the manipulate middle and they are attempting their fine to clean the runways for touchdown. He realizes that they might not make it to any runway and makes the selection to land with inside the river. Sully then warns anybody on board to brace for effect. The Late attendants coach the passengers to preserve their heads down, live down and brace. Sully another time touch control center and informs them that they may land with inside the Hudson. The flight then is misplaced from the radar. Sully and Skiles begin their descent directly to Hudson again with inside the present. He finishes his name and jogs through Times Square. He runs through the plane service wherein an antique jet rests. He has a flashback flying in a jet over a subject with a path of smoke, landing the jet properly and his associate commanding his skills. The gentleman carriers, the equal one. He flew. Sully them is going to a bar wherein the bartender acknowledges him and offers him a drink named, and after him, Grey Goose, with a touch of water. The guys inside toast for him, because the hero. He then watches insurance of the incident on TV and some other flashback to that day, with a extra detailed look on the passengers because the aircraft descends. The passengers brace themselves for the worst, a few writing to their cherished ones. Some praying, a few telling their closest human beings their final wish. The aircraft lands at the river without a casualties, and quickly starts to fill with water. Sully orders everybody to evacuate the aircraft because the doorways are opened and the rafts inflated. The humans placed on their lifestyles jackets and head out of doors, in which they wait with inside the freezing bloodless for assist. The ferry spots the aircraft and springs to their aid. They assist the humans at the proper wing whilst the NY waterway boat comes from the left facet and evacuates the human beings. An NYPD helicopter flies in and manages to assist the human beings with inside the water. After checking the whole aircraft, Sully is the ultimate to go away. Everyone has been adequately evacuated and wrapped in blankets. Sully calls Lori to allow her know he's K though. She nevertheless has no concept what passed off till Sully tells her to show at the TV together along with her daughters on the pier. Sally asks, all of us for the count? There need to be 155 human beings, which includes the staff. He is distraught. The officials on the scene requested him to go away it to them and cross. He's taken to a hospital. His manager Army comes and informs him that every 155 souls on board survived. It's like a weight off his shoulders. Later, he is taken to a motel and one of the staff hugs him, leaving him stunned. Returned with inside the present. A girl at the information says the timing became ideal for the ferry, the NYPD gadgets and for the pilot. So slowly receives in concept. He calls Larry, one of the NTSB participants, and asks him for a favor. He desires to reschedule the human simulation, so they are carried out earlier than his testimony due to the fact he feels that with human pilots and now no longer a PC, the outcomes could be unique in the event that they display the identical end result. Sully will retire himself. Larry concurs to do something he can simply earlier than the listening to Lori name, Sully, and tears. As it simply hits her that he changed into one of the 155 human beings on board, and the way horrified she is through this. After the decision, Sully composes himself and enters the listening to room. He takes his seat and Charles begins the listening to is asked via way of means of Sully. They achieved a simulated landing, the use of the equal weather altitude and velocity parameters in a simulation. The pilots head instantly for a runway immediately after the foul incident and land thoroughly. Then they run a 2D state of affairs with Teterboro Airport. However, the end result is the identical as safe landing. Charles requested the pilots what they may be looking to accomplish. Sully asks him, can get serious now. Sully argues that they did now no longer remember the human component, that it turned into account of lifestyles and demise, and that not one of the Czech pilots have been beneath the identical strain, that he and Jeff had been. No person warned them that they might lose each engines at a decrease altitude than another jet in history. Sully argues that the pilots had been told to go to the airport proper after the hen strike without taking into account the time for evaluation and choice making. He additionally asks what number of exercise runs that they'd the pilot who landed at the second one airport at 18 tries earlier than they were given it proper. Charles has the same opinion, to set the choice time to 35 seconds and that they run the simulations again, this time each situations and in catastrophic failure now that they have got visible what should have came about. Jeff recommend taking note of what virtually did they pay attention to the audio recording from the cockpit for the primary time. After the recording, Sully and Jeff step out, and he tells Jeff his mind at the recording. He is clearly happy with their paintings and that they did a amazing task, saving 155 lives. They back and resumed the listening to. Elizabeth tells them that the left engine changed into in the end recovered. It become absolutely destroyed simply as Sully had said, notwithstanding the preceding assumption that it could were operational. The recording is sufficient to show to the board that Sully and Jeff did the proper factor after consulting specialists inside the area. Elizabeth got here to the realization that the entirety might have long passed wrong. If Sully have been out of the picture. He disagrees, pronouncing that Jeff and the flight attendants deserve credit score for the touchdown in addition to nicely because the rescue workers, who acted swiftly, making positive that everybody turned into taken care of. It took them most effective 24 minutes to rescue all of us. Thank you for watching, subscribe. If you'd like to see more videos like this.